guys, I'm Veronica Mobley, and this is the Beyond Fatherhood interview series, where we get to have a real conversation with a father who is single about his dating life. The Beyond Fatherhood interview series is a collaboration between me and Dear Fathers. I slid in Rob's DM about a month or so ago, and I had an opportunity to just scroll through some of his content on IG, and I saw that very quickly. I saw this guy is a single father, like perhaps in the true sense of that. So I noticed that there's a difference between how it's received when we say single mother and single father. When we say single mother, we mean the child is with the mother for the majority of the time, right? But when you say single father, sometimes it takes on a different connotation. And I wanted to make that distinction because when I scrolled through Rob's content, it was clear that he does have sole responsibility for his child at least half of the time. So I think it's very fitting to call him a single father. I was really intrigued by his story and what that looks like for him. So I want Rob to introduce himself. Rob, who are you? What do you do for a living? And tell us about who you are as a father.
Gotcha. So Rob Slater, as she said, I'm from Philadelphia, 29 years old. Now I'm a post-athlete, no longer playing basketball, but I'm a graphic designer, content creator. So I work with a lot of brands and different companies working on their material, from menus, flyers, club scenes, events, stuff like that. So that's what I do most of the time. We're in a barbershop right now, so we're working on a barbershop we're renovating right now, so it should be open by next month. So a couple things I got in the works, but mainly graphic design is what I do on a day-to-day. Fatherhood, definitely a fun father, I would say. Me and my son have a lot of fun. I'm very open to, because they're at a young age now. My son's only 3, so he's getting into different stuff, from characters he's getting connected to, like Avengers, obviously seeing pictures of me throughout the house. He's getting into basketball and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on with him, so balancing work and my son can be a challenge sometimes, but it's definitely fun. Like, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, he's 3, so he's still young, so he's growing into himself right now and becoming his own little man, you could say.
So what stood out to me in terms of the content that I saw on Rob's IG is it was apparent, a couple of things were apparent to me. 1, that he's from Philly. 2, that he does not live in Philly, so he lives in Charlotte. And so to see, his involvement and investment in his son's life, and knowing that he was away from his family of origin, immediately I wondered how he feels in terms of getting the level of support that perhaps he would have if he still lived in Philly. So I thought his response to that was pretty neat. He's making it work, right, as best he can. He believes that, I'm speaking for you, Rob, but just correct me if I got this wrong, but he felt like Charlotte was the best place to keep his son, and so he's there. He's, committed to staying there. And I really thought that it was really neat, right? So you have your son 1 week on, 1 week off?
Yeah, so me and his mom, we do split custody. I just feel like with there it's way more fair because it's equal time with both parents. And we get along great too, so sometimes it's extra days where we might do something together just to keep that relationship strong, because he sees it every day. So I feel like us staying close together makes him feel more comfortable too. There's never no bad blood or animosity or whatever. He feels love from both sides. And then obviously with the Charlotte thing too, I wish I could live in Philly, but I just love Charlotte so much. We still come here about 1 to 2 times a month when we can, so we still make sure that my family gets to see him just as much as me and his mother do. So just definitely try to make an effort that everybody gets to spend time with him. And I did make a promise to his mom I would stay in Charlotte for now.
Okay.
So that was a commitment I stuck to. So I just made the best out of it. So I try to find stuff I love about the city that makes me more comfortable and make it my new home.
I love how you prioritize your son's well-being, and I know that it shouldn't even sound like that's something that's worthy of being praised, right? It should be normal, but we live in a world where that's not an automatic. And so I do love that, you've prioritized making sure that the way that your son is growing up, like you are affording him the best possible opportunities.
Right.
So I can appreciate that. Where did you get that from? Tell me what your influences are from your own father, maybe your grandfather. I heard you mention him earlier.
Right, so Definitely gotta give a lot of credit to the men in my family. I feel like they set a high bar for being a father, because we don't really have too many fathers that are absent in my family. So, seeing that, it was kind of second nature to be a good dad, because I've seen it every day. From my uncles, my pop-up, obviously I spoke about earlier. Like, they instilled a lot of good things in me that I feel like I'm obviously instilling in my son too. And it's not nothing I had to like second guess. It just comes naturally, you know what I mean? Because I spent a lot of time with my uncle and my grandfathers, and they were all good dads. Whether they weren't there physically all the time, support-wise, they never missed a beat. Whether it was a basketball game or, a chorus concert that I was in, which was funny because I used to sing in junior high, but that's another story.
Okay,
but,
you want to hit a note for us?
But not yet. But yeah, they were always there, and like I said, they weren't physically there, always checking up on me, communicating, talking, stuff like that, checking up, making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I guess it was easy, like with my son, because that's all I've seen, so I didn't know nothing but.
Right, it was natural.
It was just natural. You see that every day, then it's easy to duplicate.
So I want to point out, you mentioned we're in a barbershop right now. We're in a barbershop in Philly right now. So Rob comes home, he shared with us earlier, twice a month to see his family, obviously, but they have a legacy of entrepreneurship. So we are on a block where Rob's family owns multiple businesses, this being one of them. So it sounds like you have a legacy not only of entrepreneurship, but you also have a legacy of Black excellence, right? From a standpoint of the men in your life and the women.
Yeah, and the women too. Definitely give credit to the women as well. Like I said, the men set a high bar, but my grandmother, my aunts, my mom, they also set high bars for my sisters and my female cousins too. They go just as hard as the men do in my family. So I feel like it's definitely teamwork a lot. Like, as you see, I'm well connected with my aunt. I speak to them every day. My mom and Gigi, mostly I speak to them every day. If I don't, they'll go crazy. But we do stay very tight together when it comes to the businesses. Communication, I feel like, is key with my family members. So just try to make sure everybody on the same page as much as possible. So yeah. I'm
trying to give a lot of context because obviously we never know when this is going to be viewed. The date of this recording is June 6th. So we are still in the pandemic. We are in the thick of the protests, the social injustice protests and all of that. The businesses on this street, have newspapers. Some of them are boarded up. And so, and even this business, Rob's family took the necessary precautions to board up their businesses to make sure that they weren't broken into and looted. And so I wanted to give context to that because I mentioned, his legacy of entrepreneurship and Black excellence, which is what all of us are trying to focus so much on, especially right now. And so I just feel like the timing of this interview is very fit.
Right. For sure. I think so too. Not taking away anything from other businesses, but Black businesses, more importantly, because there's a strong connection with the community with all the businesses, anywhere from the hair salons to the barbershop or a few other businesses we do. We give a lot back too. So I feel like people feel like they're a part of the company, even if they're not working for it, they feel like family. So it's kind of like you gotta watch over your family.
And how long has your grandmother owned the business?
My grandmother got in the salon business maybe like 50 years ago. And then kind of all the females in my family kind of followed after that. So it was multiple salons. Like I was shouting at my Aunt Ricky next door, Notches Nails, in case y'all want y'all hair, anything done, go to her. My Aunt Rochelle's in West Philly, right on Market. And then my Aunt Ricky also has another salon in Jersey if you need your hair done in Swedesboro. So there's a few salons they're working on. Then obviously the barbershop's under construction, but Cutting Edge right here in Yeadon. So a lot of people come here to get their hair cut because there's a lot of schools in the area. So kids walking up and down the street every day. Obviously they need their hair cut. I just got mine cut recently. So it's good, doing give back events, anything like that, just to, like I said, give back to the people that's giving to you. They take care of you in return. So this time that we in now with the protests and everything proves that a lot because thank God none of our businesses have been touched, but I also credit that to the people in the neighborhood too.
All right, so shifting a little bit, a lot of it from, conversation about who you are as a father. Now I want to talk about what that means in terms of you dating. How do you balance being a full-time father, your career, because you're an entrepreneur, and navigating your dating life?
It's definitely a crazy balance. A lot of things I feel like you gotta put second, because obviously your children are always gonna come first. I'm spending with him, but I feel like I do well. I mean, working from home makes it a little bit easier because you know, I can still work and I can still spend time with my son.
Yeah.
Making your own schedule, you can still make sure you're doing the necessary things that he needs before you take care of yourself. Whether it's just going to the park or, you know, putting him into like a baseball program, or now he's doing swimming lessons, so obviously he's trying to become a good swimmer. So, you know, just making time for that stuff. My business definitely takes up a lot of time because I got a large clientele. But once again, like I said, it's all about prioritizing. Managing your time is real important, being like a father, because there's so many things going on at once.
Right.
So I got real good with just scheduling, actually writing things down so I could stick to a schedule. Or my son obviously can pick that up fast too when we just doing the same thing every day. Like if it's just waking up at a certain time, having breakfast at a certain time, taking him to the gym or workouts with me, like he's used to that stuff. So once again, it becomes second nature for him. So I don't even have to tell him to do certain stuff. He expects it already. So that side of things, when it comes to my business and my son. Dating, that's a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
Just because most people, I feel like now that don't have children, they have to understand that balance too. Because them not having children, obviously they have a lot of free time. So they don't have to take care of anybody else besides themselves. But you know, I still find a way to make time for those people too, if it's worth it. You know what I mean? Because it could potentially be someone good in my life and in the future good to my son as well. But I'm very stingy with my time too, so I want to make sure I'm not wasting it on the wrong people. But I wouldn't say dating is that hard. It's the same thing with my child. You just gotta make time for it. Like I said, my business and my son obviously come first, so the dating thing can, you know, it's on the back burner sometimes. Yeah.
So how do you go about meeting women? So obviously we're in a pandemic, so have you been using, you know, online dating or dating apps more? Do you like run into people, women in the grocery store? How do you usually?
Grocery store would be a good place, I guess, to meet women in the fruit aisle maybe.
Okay.
We stay there. But no dating apps really like that. Just because I'm real big on connecting with people in person.
Okay.
So I feel like the virtual world kind of waters that down a little bit.
Okay.
Not against it though. I feel like right now we stuck in the house, so the easiest way to connect with people is online. Same with how we connected, but not on a dating app though. But just saying, I mean, to each his own. But I like making connections with people in person though. So I guess dating for the last couple months has kind of been non-existent, you can say. But on the other side, I've been putting more time into my son, so the dating thing kind of been on hold. But I don't know, no dating sites though. I'd rather stick to going out and meeting somebody in person where I can connect with them. Energy you can't match by app. So
I want to ask, because you said dating can be on the back burner sometimes. Is dating on the back burner right now? Because you're gonna, after this interview airs, like you're gonna get women sliding in your DM. So I just want to know, are you open to, you know, meeting your special lady right now?
I would say I am.
Okay.
Just cause like obviously my son early years, my focus was just on like perfecting being a dad. Obviously there's no perfect father, but meaning just like just getting the swing of things, scheduling, stuff like that. So I was like, I can't schedule someone else if me and my son don't have a schedule. And then bringing up the custody thing earlier too, we recently put that in play December of 2019. So it's only been like 6-7 months so far of, you know, the split. So once I got that in consistently, then it was like, all right, now I can add something else to my schedule now where I got that down pat, like I said, second nature now. But yeah, I'm definitely open to a good woman. I feel like that's only gonna make my life probably easier and a little bit better too, because you don't want to be alone the rest of your life neither. But I do feel like I would be ready if the right person came across.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Right person, for
I'm
sure.
sure that's what everyone is going to want to know.
For sure,
right? Alright, so what's your type?
Type? As in physically or mentally or all around?
D, all of the above. Like characteristics.
Definitely characteristics. I'm real adventurous, so I feel like I come across like people that's kind of down for whatever. And when I mean down for whatever, like traveling, trying new things. Like I'm big on like 4-wheelers and dirt bikes.
Okay.
Doing scary stuff more like, so definitely.
Looks like it from your IG.
Yeah, so jumping off cliffs, stuff like that. Even though some people might be scared, but they'll still take a chance and do it. Like I'm real fun. And same thing with being a dad. So I just like doing fun stuff. So if anybody's cool with that, then that would definitely be somewhat my type.
Open-minded.
Oh, definitely open-minded.
Okay.
Business savvy as well.
Okay.
Just because I feel like I can't connect with somebody unless they understand what I'm doing too. We're working towards something as well that I can contribute to, because that would just make our bond even stronger. And someone that's understanding too and communicates well, because like I said, having a kid, somebody's not good at communicating and it's not going to work. So someone that's understanding and communicate as well. And then as I'm getting older too, so obviously more women I come across are more mature, so they understand, but definitely someone that can communicate and is understanding as well.
Do you have any aesthetic requirements?
Nah.
No.
I don't really discriminate. Allegedly. But more so people that look like me, I would say.
Oh, black women.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
I love everybody, of course, but I'm open to everybody. But obviously, I'll be more attracted to people
black
like
women.
that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm with that. How would you describe who you are in a relationship?
I'm very giving, I would say. Sometimes it can be too much.
Okay, what does that mean?
Maybe too much, like someone might not be deserving of that, but I still give a lot because that's just who I am.
Okay.
Anywhere from family to relationships, like I feel like I'm just always giving. I might give my last if I have to, especially if I feel like they're worthy. I'm real affectionate sometimes. Once again, it depends on the person. I think I'm affectionate as well. Yeah, I always check on everybody, especially if I'm dealing with someone relationship-wise. Once again, I usually put myself last. I want to make sure people are taken care of.
So who are you in a relationship when you're angry, disappointed, hurt, or even feel disrespectful? What types of coping mechanisms or what's your default response to that? Those things.
I guess work keeps me balanced. Because if I'm angry, I would just go get some work done.
So you distract yourself.
I distract myself with work. If I am angry, I kind of keep to myself. I'm not really like an argumentative person. I feel like if something's going wrong, then just take your time, collect yourself, because I'm real big on not saying stuff you don't mean.
Okay.
That's one thing about me. I'm not going to tell you something unless I really feel that way. So if I'm angry, if I do say something, it's because that's how I feel, not because I'm angry and I'm upset.
Okay.
So if I do feel like I would say something demeaning to somebody, I'd rather just go to hang out with myself until I can collect my thoughts. But I'm real big on that.
So after you collect your thoughts, then what happens generally?
Just talking stuff out. Like I said, I'm big on communication, and I'm very blunt and honest. So that's another thing. If I'm dealing with someone that can't handle honesty, then it probably won't go nowhere.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I can work on my delivery sometimes, but at the end of the day, you can appreciate honesty though. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing, I'm gonna just tell you how it is. That's how I would be if I was angry. I'm always gonna be honest up front, but I'm not gonna say anything to make someone feel worse. We already going through something already. That never helps the situation, so no.
I like to know who people are in the midst of conflict because there's no way we can avoid conflict in any relationship, right? Whether it's friendship, romantic relationship, work, clients, right? There's always going to be a point in which there is a conflict, and that really just means there's a difference of experience, right? Like I'm experiencing this thing this way, you're experiencing it that way. Doesn't mean there's a right or wrong. There's just a difference, and most times there comes a point where there needs to be a discussion. Let's say you're in your relationship, you guys have had this discussion, but the issue is persisting.
Right.
How do you generally handle that?
Maybe go to my grandma for some advice or something. Okay. Married a long time, so maybe she could give me some ideas, I guess. But I do go to my grandma for a lot though. I don't tell her my issues, but I can ask her for advice here and there just to see how she would feel about it. She's real good on that. But if something's not working, I mean, maybe I could try a little bit harder. Maybe I'm not doing something right if it's persistent. But maybe I'm thinking I'm doing something right and I'm really not. So maybe I need to take some steps back and ask them how they feel about my approach. Because if something's still going on, it's somebody that's not doing what they need to be doing to work it out. So I guess I would just keep trying. If it don't work the first time, now if it continues over time, then maybe this is not the right situation. I feel like I don't have a problem disconnecting myself with somebody for a short period of time to make things better or until they get better. But I mean, that's how I would handle it though.
I think that's the perfect segue to what your deal breakers are, because a lot of times if we've entered into a situation with someone who possesses our deal breakers, we're going to continue to hit those facets, right? What are your deal breakers? Like absolute no-goes for you?
Definitely deal breakers is people that complain. I was just having this conversation the other day too, because I was like, it's a big difference between complaining and then venting. Like venting is usually you just letting people know what's going on. You somewhat have a resolution of how to get out of it. You just wanted someone to talk to, which is understandable. Sometimes we all need someone that we could go to and just be like, I'm going through this, of this. It's not even like you want a response. You just want an open ear, a listening ear.
Air it out.
Right, air it out. And you feel better too. It's therapeutic to have people that you could go to like that. But then on the complaining side of things, some people are real big on complaining. Like it could be anything from their relationship, their job, family members. And I understand all that stuff can be frustrating sometimes, but I feel like complaining about it isn't really gonna help it. So it's like, what can we do to change it? So
solution.
Yeah, so I feel like deal breakers is people that complain and make a lot of excuses, because at the same time, it's not really what happens to you. be about how you react. You have a choice to make a difference. It might not happen right away, but if working on something, then you can get out of it. And I feel like I do try to detox those people away or out of my life, because then it can be put on you, and then you start making excuses, and then you start complaining all the time, because that's all you hear and deal with. So deal breaker definitely people that like complain, make a lot of excuses. Because my family, like, if you meet my family, they like no excuses type people. Like it could be anything.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly. Oh my God, I could tell you many stories about stuff like that, but no excuses. Like it's always a solution to stuff. Like I said, it might not happen right now, but it's always a way.
Right.
So
What
like,
else?
hygiene.
Okay.
Huge on hygiene. Definitely huge on hygiene. Like small stuff. Anything from the towels in your bathroom to your bed sheet, dressing, smelling good, stuff like that.
I probably smell like turkey bacon, but
I probably smell like salt that's from the barbershop, but definitely hygiene too. I feel like that's something that you would think is
tells you a lot about
you would think is something that people do, but that's also a deal breaker too. And still going back to communication too. Some people don't communicate. I know I say communication a million times in an interview, but I'm just super big on communication. Like it don't take no time to reach out or talk to somebody a little bit. So definitely people that's not good at communicating.
What are your love languages?
I just got tested on this recently too, but like gestures too. Like I said, I was a giver. Acts of service. Like I said, I'm real giving, so I feel like acts of service go a long way. But some people don't forget that type of stuff, even if they didn't have to ask you, which I'm real big on too. Like I feel like someone needs something and they might not feel comfortable asking, you just do it.
Right.
And you're not doing it because you want something in return. You're just doing it because it makes that person feel good, and it makes me feel good too.
Right.
Like just knowing that you can be a small impact on somebody.
Right.
It can be just the smallest gesture. Like my mom, for example, she's probably the lowest maintenance person I know. I mean, she'd be happy if I just bring food to the house.
So her love language is acts of service.
Definitely acts of service. Like she loves food just like I do. So it could just be a Boston Market platter or take out from Ruby Tuesdays. Like I mean, you know. But definitely acts of service though. And then for me too, I like recognition and people realizing stuff that you
words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation for sure. And that made me feel good too, because that makes me realize they appreciate you. So I'm big on that as well. That made me feel good. It made me want to do more for people too sometimes. So
it sounds like you're a giver, so you are also one to perform acts of service. Because sometimes when we have love languages, what we receive as love or what feels loving for us isn't always what we display or what we give out. It sounds like you're pretty neck and neck in terms of what you receive as love and then what you express as love. So as we think about meeting your leading lady, finding love again, finding it for the first time, I don't know that you had it before. What characteristics are you looking for in a woman in terms of how she is with your son?
So that's big too. I honestly feel like whoever does get to meet my son one day, because I haven't met anyone that hasn't really met my son. I'm real big on that too. I don't have any women around my child unless it's family, friends, or obviously family too. But treating him not as a responsibility, but taking him in as, I guess he was their own. Not taking like mom responsibilities, but obviously making plans around my son.
Right.
Because obviously making plans around my son, I'm already going to be involved. So I feel like if I did meet the perfect lady, she would make effort to include my son on stuff, because I'm not doing anything with them without him. Obviously when he's around.
Absolutely.
So if they can make that adjustment, especially ones that don't have children, if they can make an effort to make sure that we both included, then that always would make me feel a little bit more comfortable too, because then I could maybe see more of a future with that person, knowing that that's the approach they take.
How will you know when you've met the one?
I feel like there's no real answer to that. I feel like you just know kind of when someone's right around, because it's like you don't have to second guess it. When you've been around someone for so long, even if it's like a month or 2 months, I feel like timing don't really say who's right for you. Like you know,
You feel like it'll be instinctual.
Right, because you can know someone for a year and then not be the right person. You can know someone for a week and feel like you know them forever. It could be quick, or you know, you could be with someone for a long time and still not be right. But I would definitely be ready for the right one if they came around for sure. I would know. I definitely would know.
Give me a dating horror story.
You know, I never had really bad dates like that.
No?
I had one kind of, but I feel like I make the best out of a date even if it's going bad. Just because we already out. So, and most likely I'll go out of my way to pick them up and make sure they dropped off home safely. So, if the date go bad, that's an awkward car ride back home.
Right.
We might not communicate after the first date, or the awkward date you would say, but I'm gonna still make the best out of it. You know, meals already paid for, I already planned out the night. We could still have fun. They might remember it, but I'm definitely.
So you plan dates?
Yeah, plan dates.
You are a kid.
Who don't plan? Well, sometimes I randomly just be like, hey, you free? We can go here. But I like planning because obviously I'm still a dad too, so my schedule is like, hey, we can only do it on these days. Like, if it don't work, then you're gonna have to wait a couple weeks maybe. But I do plan dates still. Like, I enjoy planning dates. To me, that's fun. Like,
I love that.
That's fun planning dates. But horror dates, I can't really say. It was with an actual girlfriend, so it wasn't even like a first date. So I don't know if this counts like a date, but we went out, and this was in Philly too. I think I was in college. I might have been a freshman or sophomore. I take my girlfriends out all the time because I love eating, so I'm definitely taking them with me too. So we went out to eat.
You just checking all the boxes. All right.
We went out to eat one night. We was downtown Philly. We might have been in Old City, I think. It was a late night too. We just both found it. We was like, let's just go out to eat. Went to Ruby Tuesdays or Applebee's. It was just something quick. It wasn't that fancy. It was like 11 or something. They happened to be open late down there. So we went out to eat, and this is more funny than a disaster. But anyway, we're there. I get to check, of course, and I check in my pockets. And I must have rushed out the house, and I noticed I didn't have my debit card. But I had cash on me, so I'm like, cool. But when I go out sometimes, I legit order everything on the menu, like appetizer-wise. If they got new stuff, I want to try everything. So the bill might have been like $50-something or $60 or something. And I checked my pockets, all I had was a 20 on me. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And my girlfriend, I know she didn't bring nothing because she don't accept them pay for nothing, which is okay. I didn't expect it. And this late night too, we just wanted to go somewhere quick. We wasn't supposed to be here for hours.
Right.
So we legit sitting there. So I told her like, hey, I got $20 on me and the bill like 60. She's like, no, I didn't bring my purse. And I was like, well, we ain't gonna run out and check.
Right.
So we're stalling. The restaurant is about to close at this point, so they think we just like still eating, but we trying to like
figure out.
We're trying to space out the meal.
Right.
Because we like as soon as we done the food, they gonna be looking at us like, he ain't paid the bill yet. Like what? Like it's almost midnight. So the waitress keeps walking back and forth, giving me like the eye, like is he ready for the check? You know, you check, you just do the little eye contact, where you silently be like check, like. So when she gave it to me, she's like, it's probably 30 minutes later, he still ain't paid the bill, and she don't see no cash on the table. So thank God for my guy brother Cortez. He probably gonna see this interview too, and he remembers this night too. I know he remembers it, and I know I can rely on him if I'm ever in a jam. We both happen to be in Philly still at this time, and I called him. He probably half asleep or whatever. I'm like, bro, I'm at downtown Applebee's or wherever, and I got $20 and I can't pay this bill. So obviously he's like 30 minutes out, so we there for maybe another 30, 45 minutes till he arrives. So I seen him come to that door, I was just so happy. I was like, thank God he answered the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was gonna say to the waitress or the manager. He probably like, this dude thought he was gonna get a free meal. But eventually he did come or whatever, gave me a couple of dollars. Gave me more than the bill was actually, so thank you, Cortez. Helped me out. But that could have been bad if he didn't show up. I would have been washing dishes until
that would have been, because the assumption would have been that was intentional.
Right.
Perhaps.
And they would have been looking at me crooked like he thought he was just going to pay $20 and go home. He's going to be back here with the hat on and the rubber gloves washing dishes tonight. So.
And it's a good thing it wasn't like a first date because,
Right. So it could have been a disaster.
Right.
Thank God it was my girlfriend, so she know I can afford a meal.
Right.
If it would have been the first date, that would have been the first and last.
Right.
For sure.
So how can people find you online after you see this interview? I'm sure people will want to know. I love your guns, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm sure people will want to learn more about you. Where are you on IG? If you have YouTube, where can people find you?
Yep, on Instagram at legendary_Rob. They also find my graphic page too for artwork and branding content on Beyond Graphics Media.
Okay.
I'm kind of off social media like that now. Did everything on social media at this point. So I kind of water stuff down to just Instagram. So no Twitters, no Facebooks, nothing like that. Instagram, you'll definitely find me on there. And I try not to be glued to my phone anymore, especially with my son. So a lot of notifications from all these different social medias, you just be scrolling all day.
Yeah, I don't even have notifications on.
Like right now it's 11, you be on Instagram, every 1 o'clock in 20 minutes, you be like, I don't even know where the time went. So sticking just to one, I feel like it's way easier to connect with me on there because I'm only on one, so yeah.
So are you open to women sliding in your DM?
Yeah, they can slide in the DMs.
Okay.
I might answer, I might not.
Okay.
Nah, I'll definitely answer that. I'm real big on that too. I feel like a lot of people do reach out to me on Instagram, and not even in a flirting way all the time. I guess some people see my son in our relationship, and I do appreciate it too. A lot of women just say, I've been following you for years since your son's been born. I feel like I got a lot of virtual aunties out there, you can say. A lot of people reach out and they just say, we love seeing the pictures and videos and stuff. Y'all enjoying yourself. So, I try to answer people when I can. I don't have that many unread messages, so I do respond to people. So don't feel like you can't reach out to me if y'all do.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a wrap. Thank you so so much, Rob, for just your openness, right? Like me sliding in your DM, we had, you know, an exchange for a little bit, and we had our first phone conversation. I appreciate you being open, and obviously I appreciate, you know, who you are as a person, and having another example of a Black man who is truly invested in the personhood of their child, and, you know, making sure that they're bringing them up right to exist in this crazy world. So this is a wrap for this interview with Rob Sider, the Beyond Fatherhood interview series. Not really sure when this will air, but I'm looking forward to seeing it with everyone else.
Same.
Thank you.